Trans Academy Voice Modulation Workshop. I am your host today, Savvy, as per usual, and today I hope to teach you some techniques, some methodology, and some exercises that you can use to make your voice sound more feminine, more masculine, more androgynous, or really to get your voice to align with whatever goals you may have. So, first and foremost, I do need to make some statement when it comes to voice hygiene and voice health. First of all, when you use your voice, you need to stay hydrated. So it's paramount, and if not indispensable, to drink water at least 10 to 15 minutes before doing any voice practice. That is because when you drink water, it does not go down to hydrate your vocal cords, which we also call the vocal folds. Instead, the hydration process will be happening through the blood flow. Hence why you want to be drinking a little bit ahead of time before it properly reaches your vocal folds. So, other things that I should mention is certain medications are known to be dehydrating to the voice. So I know it's not really the season anymore, but hay fever medication is known to be somewhat dehydrating to the body, but something that might touch more some of us if we take some hormones. For example, spironolactone is one kind of medication that is known to dehydrate the body a little bit, and so it can have a bit of an impact on your voice as well. Now, of course, if you do have to take your medications, check if it can be dehydrating to the body or not. Whether it is or not, you should take whatever medication you're taking for any reason, really. But if you may, or if you can, take the medication maybe like in the evening, right before sleep, that would be a good idea. So then it wouldn't impact you during your day when you want to work on your voice. That's a little tip here. But if you can't, just try to work around it. If you have to take the medication in the morning, maybe consider pushing voice training around noon and afternoons or evenings, and so on and so forth. Just trust your body, stay hydrated, and you should be good. Another thing I could mention is coffee, alcohol, and smoking are all substances that are also dehydrating to the body. So of course, if you indulge in any of these things, that's okay. Just be sure to drink water and maybe try to avoid having a coffee and doing the voice practice exactly at the same time. It might be a bit more tricky. It's not the end of the world if you have to do those two things at the same time. Just know that it will make your voice a bit more, or a bit less hydrated and a bit harder for you to sustain that practice for a long time, but it's not impossible, just preferable. Okay, with that being said, let's talk a little bit about what voice is and what voice is about. So here behind me, you can see the graph of what we call the power source filter model. It's a very simple way that we break down the voice into three main categories to explain it and understand it. So first and foremost, when we want to create voice, we have to push the air that's inside our lungs. That will be the power, that will be the backbone of our voices. So now that power will push that air up the trachea, which will then set inside the vocal tract, inside here, you'll find the vocal folds, which will then vibrate thanks to the airflow that you provide to the vocal folds. Now, this place here, once the vocal folds vibrate, creates a source sound. And the source sound will then move up and bounce around in all of this space, which we call the vocal tract. And effectively, by changing the size, the shape of the vocal tract, we also change, the sound that we produced in the source. And so by changing the sound, we basically filter out the lower frequencies or the higher frequencies of our voices, thus creating really bright voices or really dark voices. So again, we push air from our lungs, that's the power. It reaches the voice box, so the larynx, and the vocal folds are set in motion, create a sound. That sound moves here, and then if we change the space to be, for example, a lot bigger, we achieve a much darker, bigger voice. But if we make that space smaller, we achieve a brighter, smaller voice. And really, this is the main thing that people don't really talk about. I mean, you might have heard the word resonance used around, and this is generally what it refers to. So by changing the size of the vocal tract, we can change the overall brightness or darkness of the voice. But, okay, what really differentiates a masc voice from a femme voice, aside of the size of the vocal tract? Well, I'll just put you through a little experiment here. What would happen if my voice started without testosterone? It would probably be around here. Now, what would testosterone do when it would affect my voice during puberty? Well, it would do three main things. The first thing it would do is it would make my Adam's apple drop. And by having the Adam's apple drop,
I would have a much darker, much more masculine leaning sound. The second thing that testosterone does to my voice is that it makes the vocal folds that are vibrating really fast, they start to become longer, and thus they can more easily vibrate slower. And by vibrating slower, we can achieve lower pitches. Now, the third and not the least thing that happens to the voice due to testosterone is muscle growth. That happens all across the body, and the vocal folds are not exception to this. So by increasing the vocal fold mass of the vocal folds, we achieve a much thicker sound, and like this we have like this really powerful boomy masc voice. And if you revert
all of these three things, you get a fem voice. So whatever you are trying to go for, whether it's masculine, feminine, or androgynous, just do know that there's these three components that you want to be changing and modulating to achieve a fem voice, a masc voice, or an androgynous voice. So just travel along those slides and you should be good to go. Generally, it is more preferable for a feminine voice to have a smaller vocal tract, to have a brighter sound, to have a higher pitch, and to have generally a softer sound by having less vocal fold mass in your voice. And similarly, if you want to do masc voice, well,
achieve a bigger vocal tract, darker voices, go for thicker vocal folds, and for a lower pitch if you can.
All right. With that being said, I didn't say all the truth at the start. There's another thing that comes into play when it comes to vocal hygiene and vocal health, and that is vocal warm-up. Of course, your vocal folds or your vocal cords, if you want to call it that way, they're like little flaps of flesh, of muscle, of ligaments, and so they vibrate, but they're also partially muscle. So just like any muscle in your body, you're going to want to warm it up. So we are going to do some of these warm-ups together. All right, let's try this out. I'm going to start doing an O sound, as in oak. And for this, you can all unmute and practice alongside me. All right, so I will go first, and then we'll all do this together. All right. All right, sounds easy enough. Let's try this all together in 3, 2, 1. Back down. All right, very good. Let's try a different sound. Let's say the sound Z as in zoo. I go first. Let's try this all together in 3, 2, 1. All right, very good. Let's do one last sound. This one is a bit silly sounding. I mean, what isn't silly sounding when it comes to voice work? But this one is going to be a lip trill. So we just let our lips bubble like so. So I show you first. Let's try this all together in 3, 2, 1. All right, very good. Good job. Now, with that done, we can move on to the next part of the session. So, what do I do in these workshops? Generally, I try to get up on stage to people who want to make their voices sound more masculine and to people who want to make their voices sound more feminine. So usually I try to get like people who have not been on stage before. So if you've already been on stage before, please let your place for those who have not been there yet. So yeah, today I'm going to start with fem voice. I feel fem voice today. So if you want to make your voice more feminine sounding, jump in place, raise your hand, or use the hand emoji. All right, I see someone over here. Cat. Am I saying this properly? Yes? All right, come up on stage. Come on, come on. Everyone give a big round of applause to Kit and Cat. Woo! All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
You are very welcome. All right, I'm going to start a timer so I keep track of time a bit. Okay, all good. So, kitten, cat, what do I call you?
You may call me Amy.
All right, nice to meet you, Amy. Is this the first time in one of these workshops?
No, I've been here a few times.
All right, okay. Then you're somewhat familiar, I presume, with vocal tract size, with vocal fold mass, with pitch in general.
I would hope so.
All right. Well then, in that case, if you've been around for a little bit, perhaps you already have all the lingo and the terms we use somewhat down. So would you be able to pinpoint what you'd like to work on in this little time we have here?
I don't exactly know what I myself need to work on now.
You don't quite know. Okay, so you want me to kind of like assess where your voice is at?
I guess so.
All right, then let's do the following. Okay, that should be good. All right, so do you see the sentences on the board here?
Yes.
All right, awesome. I want you to give a read in whatever voice you want to go for. Do you want to go directly for your best attempt at a fem voice, or do you want to just go for like kind of a, like whatever you want to go for, really? Like,
I'll go like
what's...
half natural, I guess.
All right, then go for how natural your voice goes. Give it a try. First sentence.
Hello, good morning, how are you?
All right, so I'm going to try and mimic a little bit your voice. Hello, good morning, how are you? So what I'm hearing is like a quite soft voice, but one that is a little bit too dark, like a bit too big of a vocal tract, and one that is a bit too low in pitch, but you got the softness down, so that's already one good part. Now, of course, we can technically have fem voices that are really low in pitch. For example, if I speak all the way down here, it still sounds feminine, but it does ask for like a really small vocal tract size and really soft vocal folds with very little vocal fold mass. So these kind of voices can be a bit more difficult to achieve. I generally tend to get people to do a little bit higher pitched voices. It's a bit easier for like starters to like find a sound that feels, well, pretty feminine and sounds good to your ears. So let's try to go a little bit higher. I want you to try and match my voice here as best as you can.
I'm not an expert with
Mimicry?
high-pitched voices, but like, I'll try.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm bad at mimicking too.
Before we do this then, a good thing that you tell me this. Let's do a slide from your lowest pitch to your highest pitch so we can kind of like assess what kind of range you are working with. Okay? Let's try this. Ooh. Try it out.
Shit, 1 second.
Oh, yes, you're gonna want...
Apologies.
Yes. No worries. You're going to want to change your settings in vrchat because it thinks that you're no longer human when you do a pitch slide. So make sure that noise suppression is turned off in the microphone settings. And make sure that the mic activation threshold is at 0%.
Oh, noise suppression is already on. Off.
All right. Let's try this again then. Ooh. All right, awesome. You have pretty much all the range you need. Okay, so here, mimic after me. Oh.
Ooh.
All right, that's very good. I just didn't realize we actually went quite high. We can go a bit lower than this. Oh, match my pitch here. Oh.
Ooh.
Very good. Can we say, pat that cat?
Pat that cat.
All right, very good. So now what you have is this. Pat that cat. It's a bit dark. It could be a bit brighter, like so. Pat that cat. And we'll work at making it sound that bright. All right, so let me get the proper sentence for this. Okay, very good. So let's try the following. I want you to give me a really dark pat that cat on a whisper, like so.
Pat that cat.
Okay.
Very good. Now we're going to shrink the vocal tract by raising our Adam's apple, by raising our larynx. Pat, 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 cat. Try it out.
Apologies, my hand tracking is fucking up. Allow me to get my controllers.
Nope, that's totally fine. You don't need hand tracking for voice training.
No, I was just using it because my controllers are almost dead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Okay. Is it all good
Apologies.
now?
Yes.
No worries. We are fine. Let's try again. Pot, pot, pat, pat. Pot, pat, pat, pat. Very good. Be careful not to squeeze the whisper too much at the end. Feels a bit stressed. Try to make it a bit more soft. Like, instead of do more of a like exhale less air. Try it again. Pat. All right. Like you only heard like a pat. Okay, so like do the scale again. Pa, pa, pat, pat. Pa, pa, pat.
Is
very good.
My room boundary fucking up? I don't understand.
Hey, let's stay focused. Let's stay focused.
Yes.
We got whispered. Pat. Now let's try to bridge that into a pitch. So let's try the following. Pat.
Pat.
Very good. We have a bright pat here. Pat. Now try to say pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Sounds great. Now try to say the sentence here. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Sounds great. Now we try to break the monotony to get something that sounds more natural. So from da 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 to that mad brat sat. Da 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 da. Try it out.
That mad brat sat.
All right, quite good. And now try to say the whole sentence like this. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Sounds great. Careful though at the end. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. That M sound got you to start becoming a bit darker. So try to say the M sound and try to make that brighter. So unfortunately, whilst it may be easy to hear the brightness in an A sound like with an M sound, if you think about what the M sound is, it's just exhaling air through your nose. So it can be quite hard to brighten. So in this case, you're going to try to brighten your voice by using a voiced exercise. So going from from a really dark M to a really small, bright M. Do you want to give this a try?
Okay.
All right. Give it a try. So it did go brighter. However, your pitch moved from do 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 do. So we kind of like moved up in pitch here. So it's not exactly fair like comparison to like
This dark pitch here, at A3,
to this bright A3. So this was the exact same pitch all across. This can be a bit of practice for you to do on your own, but this is why I technically go for more whispered exercises, because it's easy to tune whispers because the vocals are not vibrating. You don't hear a pitch in the way all the time. So that can be a bit tricky to brighten the M sound, but basically it's the same motion as doing just with an M sound. So if you remember if you try to remember the muscle memory, the implications, and how your larynx gets involved in the movement to brighten your voice, and try to apply that to the M sound, you're just changing the shape of your mouth, but you're still bringing the Adam's apple the same way as you would on, I don't know, like the word cat, that cat. right? So that's something for you to practice on your own. But other than that, that was pretty good. I mean, like, you have a good ability to brighten your voice, even with breaking the monotony. I didn't hear your voice break too much, so you did pretty well. Just watch out for like the lower pitches of your sentences. And generally, we didn't have time to like practice your voice at lower pitches, so maybe that might be an area of work for you. But other than that, you have a really promising voice to get started with. I think you're gonna do great, Amy. Do you have any questions before we wrap up?
No, not really, but thank you. I'm a little sick, so perhaps it wasn't my best, but thank you.
I can understand that. It can be stressful on stage, but you did well nonetheless. Best of luck with your voice training, Amy. And please, everyone, give a big round of applause to Amy. Woo! All right, next up on stage, I want to see someone who wants to make their voices sound more masculine this time. So if you want to make your voice sound masculine, raise your hand, jump in place, or use the hand emoji. All right, I see someone here. Palkia Nightfire, you've not been on stage before, have you? Nope. All right, come up on stage. Come on, come on, come on. Everyone give a big round of applause to Palkia. Woo! I didn't think I would meet with the god of space or time or something like that. Yeah, it's
No, you
it's
definitely
honestly
got it right the first time.
it's a privilege, honestly.
Oh,
Anyways,
thank you.
so Pokemon god of space, how shall I help you today?
I did have a hand raised because I actually have a question for you.
Yeah, go on.
Why does my throat hurt when I try to like extend the pitch? Because am I just not like used to it, or?
I mean, voice practice should not really hurt your voice per se, so something must be going wrong.
Going
you say-
past my regular.
Would you say upwards or downwards?
Both.
Both. Interesting.
I try to hit really, really low. It's trying to be really, really high, and then I feel like that pain in my throat, like I'm stretching it too far.
That's interesting. Do you do any warm-ups before going for these high pitches or these low pitches?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that might be it. Easy answer. But no, like for real though, like think about it this way. If you go run a sprint for like whatever reason, what do you think is going to happen? If you run that sprint without stretching your legs are going to burn. Like, you're not even going to finish the race, are you? You know, like you gotta stretch them legs. I don't have a full body tracking, but you can imagine that like I'm stretching my legs, you know, like doing all the warm ups, you know, to like warm up my legs. The same is true for your voice. You gotta consider it as well as a muscle. I mean, you don't want to like bulk it up. I mean, in the case of voice masculinization, you kind of generally want to have a bit of a thicker sound, have more texture, and so on and so forth. But like you don't want to like push it like you're at the gym, you know. So you still gotta treat it like, you know, muscle in the sense that you have to like relax it into use. So for example, we do some of the warm-ups. Although I'll be honest, the warm-ups we do here are not sufficient. They're like an indication of what you should be doing. Generally, I prefer to do something like 1 to 2 minutes of warm-ups, or if not 5 or more. It depends how much you need it. But like doing things like slides or scales as well, like right? Like that can be really helpful to like slowly and gently like allow your vocal folds to vibrate and kind of warm up. Because the other thing that's going to happen as well is that the blood, the blood vessels in your vocal folds, they're going to provide the nutrients, they're going to provide the water, the hydration, and it's also going to like clear up the mucus, so it's going to allow the vocal folds to vibrate more efficiently. And so with that better, more efficient vibration, it's going to be easier to go for these higher pitches without straining your voice. Now, I don't know, maybe there's also some technique issues that you might be using your voice wrong, perhaps. Generally, it really rarely happens that people get hurt from their voices, unless you're doing like, you know, unless you're like sick, perhaps, and you're forcing your voice through sickness, or if your voice, your throat feels parched and dry, in which case vocal folds that are dry and try to vibrate against each other. Let me like put it this way. When you use your voice, like, can you hold any pitch whatsoever. Just like, for example. Right. So see that pitch here. That's an F3. I have a pitch monitor here in my hand. I can tell that it's 170 hertz. That means that your vocal folds open and close. Not 1, not 10, not 100, 170 times per second. So slamming together 170 times per second, right? It's intense as heck. And so if your voice is really dry and you push your voice beyond that to higher pitches, for example, like a high pitch, like, I don't know, ooh, it's not even that high. That's 400 vibrations per second.
Dang.
And the highest pitch you did there before, I don't know what it was. Can you redo it again?
Going really, really high like this.
It's like in the 5th octave. It's like around 800, 900 hertz. So,
Dang.
yeah, it's much more energy. It's a lot harder on your voice. So, theoretically, your high pitches should kill your voice much faster than the low pitches, because at the least of the low pitches, the vocal folds vibrate a lot slower. They're a lot more relaxed. So, hardening your voice down here is going to be harder generally. So if your voice hurts from going lower, it should, you know, be something maybe that's down to technique. Like maybe your Adam's apple is not correctly going down. Perhaps your tongue is kind of like locking into place and preventing certain muscles to move, because we kind of like want things to move somewhat freely, right? You know, one of the biggest gripes we have with like SLPs, which are like speech and language pathologists, right? They're like the voice doctors. They know their stuff for like working like puberphonia, for example, or like lisps and stuff. But for trans voice, not so much. And we kind of like get, you know, beef for using techniques that raise or lower the larynx, but like that's the way we masculinize or feminize the voices. So there's some reason for that, like in the sense that if you do it wrongly, you could theoretically, you know, like misplace certain muscles. Like there is a way that you can, for example, raise the Adam's apple, but keep your tongue super low, and it kind of like clashes. Well, basically, I don't think I have a slide for this, but you can't really see it here. But basically, we have at the root of our tongue, we have like a bone, which is called the hyoid bone. It's like right below your chin, and it's above your larynx though. So like then you have your larynx below that. Your larynx would be here, and your hyoid bone would be here. And so these two can clash. And if any of you have ever experienced like clicking, like if like a click sound, if you raise your larynx or lower your larynx, then that's probably what's happening, is that your tongue is lowering, but your larynx is going higher, and it's kind of like clashing together. That can hurt. But yeah, it's always hard to pinpoint what makes your voice hurt. Like, it could be your larynx doing weird things. It could be your vocal folds just being like, please stop, I'm too dry and I can't vibrate anymore, you know? But yeah, anyways. Oh gosh. Okay, so we already are all over time. But maybe you wanted to ask a question or like do a tiny bit of practice before you go off stage. So yeah, do you have other questions, or just like do some voice work real quick?
Sure. Getting really, really low.
Yeah, okay, that's really cool. Yeah, can you try to read that sentence up here? Oh, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Wow. Did you have any testosterone? Because this is impressive.
Just whatever's natural.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, naturally grown.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
I mean, like, it's pretty effortless for you. Maybe not. I don't know, but like,
Trying
it sounds
getting lower than that is
sounds
the
easy.
issue. That's like
Yeah.
right at the line of where it struggles. Any
Alright,
lower
so
than that, I can't get lower than that.
Let's try this real quick then. E3. That's the lowest pitch you did. So, all right. Try to say it on the lip trill, like. Good. Now try this. The last pitch here. it here. Oh, you just went lower. You went from E3. Yeah. Oh, that's D3. How familiar are you with your range? Like, yeah. Do you ever check it with like a pitch software, a pitch tracking software, or
No,
you don't really look
I
at it?
just see how far I can stretch it.
Well, you just went here. Oh, you started here, so you didn't just go like from you didn't go just from E3 down to D sharp 3, you went also down to D3. So like, and so already, like D3 is very rare in the fem voices, unless, it's like at the end of sentences, or we're like really pushing for like the really low fem voices, right? Like it's already at the limit of that range, right? It's with the darkness and the heavy sound you had, that's like honestly it's starting to become unmistakably masc. So I think you're doing a really good job in that regard. When it comes to vocal fold masks, are you able somewhat to modify that? Like, do you feel like you can make your voice go from like that
Really soft sound to something a bit heavier.
or is that something you still struggle with?
I think if I try hard enough.
I can kind of tell there's a bit of fuzziness there. If I try hard enough, it's not like if I try hard enough.
So like you definitely have that. Yeah, you do have that vocal fold mask.
Yar. Yar. That's awesome. Yeah, let's try this. Yar.
That's D3 still. You're still at the lowest. That's awesome. I mean, with practice, you could even go lower. Who knows?
Yar. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Yeah, try it out, bro.
Sat on that
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. That mad brat sat on that flat mat. Da 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 da.
Try it out.
mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Flat mat.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Wait, are you kidding me? Do that pitch again.
Da 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 da
That mad
da.
brat sat on that flat mat.
Are you kidding me? You're here.
I can't get any
went
louder with
too-
that. Yeah.
I mean, you can't go any louder. Oh, but like you're on A2. I don't know if you realize how low your pitch is. That is insanely low. You went from here casually down to here. Like
Dang.
A2. Like this pitch here, it's the area where like it becomes very hard, if not impossible, to feminize. Like
Like here I'm at like right here. It's A2. That's the pitch you just did. If I try to make that brighter, like I kind of get like this voice, and like honestly, it really struggles to get out of androgyny. Like you can't really make that sound fem by itself, right? Like it might be a part of like a lower fem voice that kind of like ends up lower, but you would agree it kind of like goes beyond the binary here. So that you're able to go down here with the ability to have some heavy vocal fold mass and a dark vocal tract, like a big vocal tract. Honestly, I'm really impressed. Like you killed this. Yeah, I mean, do you even need help? Yeah, practice your voices. But yeah, no, I'm honestly surprised. But sorry, to get back to your issue of like your voice hurting one way or another, be sure to warm up your voice. And if you feel like your voice kind of like starts to get a bit more tired or starts to hurt, please rest for a little bit. Or at the very least, if you want to go lower in pitch, like use like some softies. These sounds, right, they create a pressure at the level of your mouth, which fights the pressure from your lungs, right? Because you push air from your lungs, so the vocal folds are torn between the pressure from below your lungs and the pressure, whoa, almost lost my phone, and the pressure from like your mouth and such. So generally, if you just say there's no pressure at all, right? It's only pressure from below. So if you add pressure above, you might ask, isn't that going to make my voice harder? And I'm going to say, yeah, but not really. Like, it makes it a bit harder for you to create a sound, but for the vocal folds, they're now vibrating with a pressure above and below, which for them means it's less pressure, it's less effort. So it can help you, like, prime a bit better phonation, and it can help you, like, find proper phonation patterns for low pitches and high pitches. Okay?
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're super welcome. You killed it. Everyone give a big round of applause to Palka! Woo!
Thank you.
You're super welcome. Bye-bye. All right, next up on stage, I want to see someone who wants to make their voices sound more
Feminine. Oh my gosh, you jump so high.
Is it Sophie? You wanted to make your voice femme? Yes? All right, come up on stage. Come on, come on, come on.
Okay, hello.
All right. Welcome. Big applause to Sophie. Woo! All right. Hello. Welcome. All
Hi,
right.
it's good.
So,
It's good. It's an honor to be here. I mean, I'm honestly like, I've never done anything like this, so it's really exciting. So thanks for having me. Yeah.
you've never been in one of these workshops at all?
Never.
First time in these workshops. Okay, crazy. Are you familiar
Yeah.
with concepts like vocal tract size, with pitch, with vocal weight? Are these things that kind of ring a bell to you?
Yes.
All right, awesome. Well, in that case, I will just ask you, like, have you done any practice on your own prior to this?
Yeah. I've like
Okay.
probably I'd say on and off for a year or so. I've practiced.
Okay, where would you say your voice is at currently? The one you're using to talk to me right now.
Maybe like androgynous leading femme, but I'm hoping to make it more feminine over time.
Gotcha. All right, so, you kind of like want to like go like from a masc voice, slowly moving up, moving up, moving up over time, and eventually like finding a more femme voice? Or do you want to like experiment like a femme voice that's really femme, and maybe like kind of like jump back and forth between like your really femme voice
To a really masc voice,
to a really femme voice?
to a really masc voice,
I can do this.
all night long.
Please stop me.
Stop.
Okay,
that's
so you
enough,
get the
okay.
idea.
No, for me, I think it's a good starting point to look for something that's like a more slower progression into feminization.
Okay, so this is interesting. I feel like this approach might be very constructive, but also destructive. Constructive for the reason that like you want to take things slow. You want to slowly bring your voice higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and brighter as well. But at the same time, your perception of gender in a voice is going to kind of like be all over the place. I mean, like it can be tricky for someone who has like I don't know, like imagine my starting voice
Wasn't this, which this was my starting voice before doing any voice training. And you know, some people come to me and they're like, they kind of like are already up here, and I would say it's not like a femme voice, but it's like it's already like kind of bright. It's kind of like already there. So all they actually need to do is just like bring their voices a little bit higher, and then they're pretty much in like a low femme voice, right? And so what I'm trying to say by this is like it can help to have a voice that's really disconnected from your masc voice, or from your starting voice, I would rather say, because it's hard to like gender. You said it's androgynous. I kind of agree. And so like it can help to kind of have like create landmarks for yourself, right? Like this is my masc voice, or at least it's like a caricature of how masculine this voice can be, even though it could be more masculine, of course, right?
and then I have like this femme voice, which is my current voice. But for the longest time, my femme voice actually was like up here. I actually was talking a lot more like up here because this was far away from my.
Masc voice, and so
Because it was so far away, it was much easier for me to like gender it as a feminine voice, right? And so, yeah, that's just my little critique on that. Is like, it can be good to kind of like go for both, right? Like, what voice you kind of like uphold for a long period of time, slowly progressing, that can be a good thing. But in practice, for you to notice if your voice is femme or not, for you to properly judge your voice, it can be good to refer to like a more simple binary, because let's be honest, like we Western culture people, we tend to have very binary coded perception of gender, and it's a bit easier to like have that strong dichotomy. So without any further ado, let's do some voice work. So are you familiar with some of the exercises to feminize your voice?
You've done just like the slides. You've done some trills, and then in terms of other things, like I mean, like using a whisper is an interesting thing that I've experimented with a lot. I know that
Yes.
like for voice feminization, one of the big things is getting the larynx to be a little bit higher, and I think I'm like relatively comfortable with that
Yes.
aspect of it. But I think
There
I'm
you
still
go.
struggling with like resonance, if that makes sense. I don't know. Like I don't even understand that concept, and like you said, that word gets thrown around all the time, so I'm not even really sure.
Okay, so very simply put, which is it's not simple, so I'm trying to like
make something complex simple in the very small time we have. Our voice is not just one frequency over time. It's multiple layers of sound together, right? Not one, not two, like 10s, 20s, more frequencies. And so it's a big block of sound that gets filtered out through our nose, through our mouth, and so on and so forth. And so, and also through our throats. And so when you raise your larynx, you make the throat part smaller, which makes the voice more bright. It raises the resonance. Although the resonance doesn't mean much. The term formant is the scientific word for it. The reason for why it's been called resonance is because if you talk about pitch, you might use the pitch C, D, E, F, the pitch F. So we can talk about F as a pitch, but we can also talk about F as a formant. So to avoid the confusion, we have used R for resonance because R is not a pitch that we hear or see in music theory. But it's not actually what it's referring to physically, because resonance in physics is when an object is vibrating at a certain rate and another body has the same properties, it will vibrate through propagation of that sound. That is the phenomenon of resonance. This is why I try to move away from using resonance. I try to use the terms bright or dark. I try to use the terms small vocal tract or big vocal tract, because these are more physically accurate things, and I think it doesn't really bother people too much. So if you raise your larynx, that's one thing, but then you gotta understand that it has to stay raised for most of your voice, because like just raising it once doesn't mean that it will like stay around all the time. It might like evolve around time. It can like drop and go up and down, etc. So I feel like that's maybe what you might be experimenting, like some kind of jitter with your voice. So I just want to hear, because you did make your voice suddenly brighter, so that was correct. That was the good way to go. Would you be able to read that first sentence here on the board with that same brightness that you found?
Yeah, of course. That mad brat sat on that flat cat. Matt.
Okay, that's okay. I understand. Cat and mat. That mad brat sat on a flat mat. So first thing I want to say here is the pitch is that mad brat sat on that flat mat. Da 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 da. It's a D3. Let's go a little bit higher. Match after me. So here. Perfect. From here, just say that mad brat.
That mad brat.
Great. Now you hear it sounds very solemn, really dark. That mad brat. It's still mostly masculine leaning. So now with that same pitch, let's try to brighten the voice. That mad brat.
That mad brat.
That's great. Yes, and say the whole sentence like this. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That already sounds very femme, okay? Although it is a little bit heavy, so we hear that mad brat. We'd like to have something more like that mad brat. So instead of pushing like all of the air out, let's try to push air more slowly. So from that mad brat, same laryngeal posture, same pitch, but softer. That mad brat. Try it out.
That mad brat.
There you go. And then change the pitch around a little bit. That mad brat sat.
That mad brat sat.
Oh my god, beautiful. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That was beautiful. Before I shower you in compliments,
That very dark.
mad brat sat on that flat mat. Rest is really good. Start is a bit dark. But okay, how did that sound to you? I mean, that was incredible. That was really femme. Like, how did you like that sound? Have you already been able to reach that before?
I think at times I've gotten there. Like it's tough to stay consistent and to just make that like, you know, your always voice, if that makes like any
Absolutely.
sense.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Like, and it can be hard to like understand that like, hey, your voice might be here and here and here and here and here and here and here at any given time over time. So it's hard in this mess of many sounds to be like, that one is the great one, you know? And so it can be nice to like do small recordings, small snippets of recording of your voice. So for example, what I like to do is here on my phone, I have an app. I can just press record. That mud brat sat on that flat mat. You probably heard that some things went wrong. Like some words were darker in my example. But I'm not sure. I don't know that, right? So I can play back. That mud brat sat on that flat mat. Yeah, on that. I can notice that it happened on mud and that. So then I can go back to these words and do mad or that, right? And then I can go again. That mad brat sat on that flat mat and be all good like that. Okay? So just do small recordings, keep up at it. You have a really strong start of your voice. I'm really impressed. You went so bright so quickly. The main thing that you should take away is careful not to be too thick, because it's very common for like masc voices to have more vocal weight. We don't notice it with masc voices because they have a bigger vocal tract, right? But as soon as you take that same masc voice and make the vocal tract a lot smaller, you quickly hear how buzzy the voices really are. That's because we're squeezing a really dense and textured sound in a very small space. We actually want to have less of that texture, excuse me, when we go brighter. So, yeah. That's exactly what you want to be working at, to like soften your voice and yeah, keep working at you know, keeping everything bright all together and work with recordings and so on and so forth. Okay?
Well, it's great to hear that, like, that feedback that I'm in a pretty good place when I, like, put it there.
Yeah, you are.
Like, I appreciate it. I'm still, like, sometimes I do, like, this stuff can be so embarrassing, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it's just
How is it embarrassing? I mean, like, I guess fem voice... Why? Why is it embarrassing? You did great.
not just like the being on stage aspect of it, but just in general, like if I were to just take that voice into the public world and like try to speak that way, like it would be hard. Like that's tough, right?
That's why you gotta practice it a little bit with some of your friends, for example. Just like sit on a call, chill out, or like in that, like I don't know, like join your mirror gang. Just like sit and just practice your voice. I don't know, like whatever you do. And you know, like it's gonna be easier over time. Like for me, it took a whole year to find a fem voice, and then it took a year and a half to naturalize that voice to my brain to be like, hey brain, stop panicking, this voice is fine, right? So yeah, it's some stuff for you to figure out. That's more like mental blocks, but that's a good thing. If it's a mental block, it's not a physical thing. It's not you doing your voice wrong. It's you needing to become familiar with your voice more than anything.
Yes, totally. And that just takes time, like you said. So that's
It
all for
does.
me.
All right, you did really well. At least what you need to hear is that you are very capable of doing this. Just trust yourself, keep up the good work, and polish things up, and you should be more than good to go. Everyone, give a big round of applause to Sophie! Woo!
Thank you so much again. It's been a pleasure.
You're super welcome. Same here. All right, next up on stage, I want to see someone who wants to make their voices sound more masculine. If you want to make your voice sound more masculine, jump in place or raise your hand. All right. Okay, Sunny Lee, if I'm not mistaken, you've already been on stage before. Yes, okay. Do we not have anyone else who wants to do more voice masculinization? All right, so I guess I'll do fem voice extra round today. So if you want to make your voice more fem, all right. No one else. Have you already been on stage before? Nope. All right, come up on stage. Come on, come on. Everyone give a big round of applause to no one else. Woo! Never had to say applause to no one else before, but here I am. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. Setting a timer now. All right, welcome. First time in one of these workshops?
Yeah, I haven't done like anything at all. I'm just
Really?
new.
Okay. Completely new. Are you familiar with terms such as vocal tract size, such as brightness, darkness, such as pitch, or vocal fold mass, or is it completely alien to you?
I think I've heard of it a couple times, but I don't know how to like apply them.
All right, very good. Well, in that case, have you already done some practice of your voice on your own before, while joining in here? Like maybe some tries on your own, maybe some simple mimicry, some practice in front of a mic, anything?
Not really.
Okay. Well, then in that case, let's talk about the basics. When it comes to voice, we want to do three things. We want to brighten the voice. By brightening the voice, we mean that we want to filter out the darker frequencies of the voice, the lower frequencies of the voice, and allow mostly only the bright ones to come through. To emphasize the brighter frequencies, to brighten your voice, by emphasizing the higher frequencies, we basically want to shrink the vocal tract. So if I go back to this slide here, right, we want to go from a vocal tract that's otherwise really big to a vocal tract that's really small, okay? And so to do this, we like to use whispers as a way to practice in an unvoiced manner, a way to brighten the voice. So, for example, you can take the words pat that cat on a whisper. Can you say pat that cat on a whisper?
I can try. Pot, cat.
Very good. So the way you do this, pot that cat, is at a certain level. It could be very big, like pot that cat, or it could be very small, pat that cat. But you're somewhere in the middle, so pot that cat, right? So if you take your hand and put it gently on your neck, you can feel a little bump there. Can you feel a little bump in your neck? Don't press down, just feel for it.
Yeah.
Yes, that bump is your larynx, or rather, that part here is the laryngeal cartilage. So it's a soft bone that basically houses the vocal folds. And so that thing moves up and down depending on what you do or when you speak. So as you keep your hand there, I want you to give me a really dark pat, like pot. Good. And now try to make the pat go brighter. Pa, 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 pat that cat. Fill your hand. Try it out. Very good. Do not expect as many steps as me because you didn't do pa, 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 pa. You did pa, pa, pa. So you just shot up to the highest one directly, right? So again, it's not a matter of, oh, I need to do exactly the same steps as Savvy. No, you need to listen to how bright you went. If you went really high, really fast, then you kind of already reached your limit, okay? So anyways, that limit is already giving you like an idea of how bright you sound. By the way, when you did this, did you feel your Adam's apple move up as you did that bright pat?
Yeah, a little.
All right, very good. A little means that your Adam's apple must already be in a somewhat high position. So now we're going to go back to that pat sound here. Pa, 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 pa. Find that really bright pat again. Pat.
Should I start from the bottom and then go back up again, or?
You can try to jump directly for it or do from the bottom.
So.
Very good. Now compared to how you would normally say it, pot. Good. Now try to jump back and forth. Pot, pat, pot, pat. Very good. Awesome. And now from this bright sound here, I'm going to try to bridge that whisper into a full voice. So go from slowly close the vocal folds and get pat that cat. Try this out.
Okay.
Very good. From here, can you say pat that cat?
Pat that cat.
Yes, very good. Now compared to how you would normally say it at the same pitch, would you maybe say like pat that cat instead of pat that cat?
Yeah, like pat that cat, kinda.
Pat that cat, kinda. And now pat that cat, kinda. Try it back and forth between those two.
Cat, kinda.
Yes! Yes, very good. And now you have a really femme sound, okay? So, of course, your voice, in all honesty, whatever I would call the quote-unquote masc voice, or really, in your case, is more an androgynous voice, right? You start much higher. I mean, I started after testosterone exposure, and so I had like a really dark, big voice to start from. So like my climb upwards was like a much longer one that had to go for like several like, you know, layers of brightness and higher pitches. In your case, your voice actually starts quite high, okay? I tell you this because you shouldn't expect to have as many steps as me, right? Like, your start is not my start, right? So that means that the motion you have to do to achieve a femme voice is a bit smaller than mine. Keep that in mind, because if you might feel like, hey, there's not a lot of change between your current voice and your femme voice, that is because it's the case. Your voice is actually very close to a femme voice by default, okay? Just keep that in mind. Yay! I know, right? It's great to hear that. And so, now that you've done this, let's try to read a few sentences that's slightly brighter posture. So, let's try instead to say, "That mad brat."
That mad brat.
Good. Make that brighter. That fat brat. Okay, and now that mad brat.
That mad brat.
Yes, great. And now that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Great. Now let's try to go up. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Then back down. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Great. And let's try this. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That brat sat on that flat mat.
Great. And let's try this. That mad brat.
That mad brat.
Careful here. Bro. You kind of lost that vocal tract size. So your Adam's apple kind of shot lower. Bro. Careful. Brat. Still small at the end. Try it again.
Brat.
Yes. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Very good. Try the next sentence. The crowbar opened the subpar car.
The crowbar opened the subpar car.
Careful here. This crowbar opened the subpar car. Subpar, par, subpar car. Try it again.
The crowbar opened the subpar car.
Very good. All right. Very, very, very good. So you might have noticed that as you move the pitch around, you might go a little bit darker, especially when you go from high pitch to low pitches. That is normal, because when you go to low pitches, you're getting closer to, well, your current voice, which is lower pitch than what we're doing so far. And because that is the case, it kind of goes a bit darker as well. So again, what I said before is that there's not a lot of difference between your femme voice and your masc voice. And so it can be a bit harder to hear if you're doing like subpar or subpar, right? because they're really close to one each other. But yeah, that's about it. Just make sure that when you go for lower pitches, or maybe you could try to practice low pitches and make those really bright and femme. So maybe like practicing not the crowbar open the subpart car. That's probably easy to you. Maybe practicing something more like da 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 da. The crowbar opened the subpart car, and try to make that really bright. Do you want to try it?
Sure. So, the crowbar opened the subpar car.
Okay, that's that's very good, but not as low as I wanted you to go. So like, match my pitch here. Okay, what's the pitch here? Okay, let's go lower. Okay, the pitch. Okay, hear that pitch. Keep that pitch here. Now that's a G sharp 3. Let's try to make that from to so pa 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 pat.
It's hard.
Yeah, you went higher in pitch. So it can be tricky because as you go brighter, you might feel like you have to go higher in pitch. It's not a necessity, and you should slowly learn to. Well, that was a weird sentence, but you should try and work on making lower pitches of your range also bright, just like the higher pitches. Not heavily depend too much on the high pitches to be bright, because otherwise what happens is as soon as you're going to go from that rat sat on that flat mat, you're going to start dropping and having a darker voice. So it can be interesting to work on the lower end of your voice to get a more femme sound. But other than that, that was really good. Like you have, when your voice is brighter, it's really, really femme. In your case, I would say to get even more difference, to even make the gap between your current voice to achieve a voice that's femme and even further away from your current voice, you'd probably want to like work more on the melody aspect of things. It's not a thing gendered by testosterone, but something more social, right? Like you might notice that people who speak with a more feminine voice tend to have a more melodical voice, right? They don't speak like that mad brat sat on that flat mat. They might speak more like that mad brat sat on that flat mat with a bit more intonation, kind of like a roller coaster of pitch, right? That helps a lot with reading a voice more feminine, at least in our Western cultures. I don't know if you're in America or in the UK or whatever, but like you get the idea. But yeah, that is pretty much it. I hope this has been helpful. Just keep up the good work. You have a really promising voice ahead of you. Just keep the good practice and you should be more than all right. Any questions before we wrap up?
No, not really.
All right. You mean, no, not really. No, not really.
No, not really.
Yes! So good! All right, everyone, big applause to no one else. Woo! All right, amazing stuff. All right, so Rory or V, do we have any questions regarding, well, maybe Twitch or Discord questions? Yeah, you have a question. Go on. Uh-huh, yeah. It's a tricky question to answer. I try to move away from how it feels because the way my voice feels is going to be very different from what your voice feels like or what your voice feels like or what your voice feels like, Rory. So it's hard to say. I can only give you my 2 cents on this, but do not take this as the absolute truth, okay? This is where I'm going to be the most wrong about, because sensations are unique to people, or at least they're less likely to carry over from one individual to another. So your question is, how does it feel? I mean, like, I kind of feel like if I
Read like for a darker voice.
I can feel that, you know, my Adam's apple moves down, of course. So I can feel somewhat like the skin kind of like changing tension, like around my collarbone, because that's where my Adam's apple would be going. Because my voice is habitualized at this really high, at this really high position of the larynx, I can kind of feel the ligaments that are like below your ears and that go down your neck on the sides. I can kind of feel them tensing up because they're doing more effort, because
They're going for like a position that's like not
like the natural position. Even though it used to be the natural position, it's been many, many years, so it's normalized back up here. So
like I might feel that
change, but that's about it. Yeah, because you were saying like how it should feel when you go darker. Is that correct? It said opening, but I'm not sure what you mean by the term opening exactly. Right. So the larynx cannot be thinned, nor can the larynx be opened. I mean, unless you mean like by opening the space, you mean like by making the vocal tract larger, because in theory, the pharynx becomes bigger. So, because I always think of wide as like being on the horizontal axis, not necessarily on like the vertical axis. That's why wider was so strange sounding to me. There is a truth though that when you go for lower laryngeal positions, the vocal folds can get a bit wider as a result, because like the throat is kind of like generally relaxing, so it can be a bit harder to close the vocal folds like this. But yeah, again, take it with a grain of salt if this can help you with voice exploration, but I wouldn't rely too heavily on that. Sound is still mostly important to voice modification. Yes? Huh. That is so strange. I mean, like, you could also, like, use, like, one of those, like, decibel meters, you know, like, to know how loud you are, I guess. If you need, like, some more objective input, like, something that could, like, measure the loudness is probably a good way to go as well. So you go less off of sensations and something a bit more objective. Yeah, that's what I would recommend. You're welcome. Do you have other questions? No question from Switch. Oh,
I have
yes.
3 on Discord. I'll leave it
Oh
to you
gosh.
how much time you think you have.
Alright, wait. Oh no. Whoa, I'm jumping. What's happening? Okay, 3 Discord questions. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna rapid fire them. Let's go.
Okay, this one will try and do justice. I was trying to understand this one. I want to be able to change quickly between gendered voices, masc voice and fem voice. Are there exercises that can help me make that sound more natural?
No, not really. I mean, like, it's not a question that I generally answer. People don't generally want to jump back and forth between the 2 voices. I would say just like warm up the voice before doing so. Like, it's I mean, what's the context even for this? It's a bit complicated for me to like see, like, kind of like what I do, like just go from fem voice
to masc voice
to fem voice
to masc voice.
there's like no really exercise. You're just like jumping really quickly from one posture to another. So if it's a posture you've acquired, there's no really good exercise other than just warm up, like do it several times, like maybe like me jumping from like a femme voice to a Kermit voice to a femme voice to a Kermit voice to a femme voice to a Gollum voice to a femme voice to a masc voice to other voices, right? Like this is something I can do for voices that I have practiced. If I have to like do voices I've never done before, yeah, it's not gonna work. But yeah, sorry, not a really relevant answer, but other than just practicing going back and forth on your own, there's no real exercise. Depends if you want to like do a really analog thing, like if you want to specifically go from same pitch but different voice, you know, for example, that mad rat
Sat on that.
flat mat, the crowbar opened the subpar a car, and so like that would be like different voices, same pitch, but like I don't know, it's a really niche use. All right, I hope that answers your question. Anyways, what's the next question, V?
I can make my voice fairly light and soft, but it tends to be a little too quiet. How do I work on projecting my voice while maintaining brightness and softness?
Gotcha. So to do this very simple, you're going to want to push more air. Basically, what you're going to want to do is basically push more air. So yeah, if I start from a really soft voice, this is what it's going to sound like. I'm going to push more air, and I'm going to either get louder, that's what we want, or I'm going to go thicker. The thickness being a response to the increased airflow, but it's not necessarily what happens. Or I get this. I get a really breathy voice instead. And so whatever result you get, you might want to do things different. If you get the thicker version, then you want to start back to the soft voice again. If you get the just louder version, well, being louder is not necessarily being thicker, so you're good to go. Then keep going. But if you get a breathy voice, then you're going to want to close the vocal folds again. So try to do the sound like creak, for example, because creak is a sound where the vocal folds properly close. Or in this case, right, experiment with creak, and then use from breathy, trying to go towards creak, not going fully the way to creak. So by closing the vocal folds again, by closing the vocal folds and pushing air and, you know, going so on and so forth, you can find a more projected voice. So basically you're just adding more air and you're learning how to deal with that extra airflow without having to resort to increasing the vocal weight. So it could sound something like this, total. The whole thing would sound like that mad brat. Not quite thick, is it? That mad brat would have been the thicker version of this. So yeah, I hope that helps out. Next question.
Sometimes when I talk at certain tones, it feels like there's a second interferent frequency in my voice. Like it's a second frequency like vibrating in my throat. It's hard to hear it, but I can feel it, and it wears my throat out, especially if I sing. Do you know anything about that?
Okay, so you're gonna have to define tone for me. I don't have a definition for tone. It's not something I use in the methodology here. But I can.
Pitch, they did specify higher and lower pitches.
Okay, so one thing that can happen is subharmonic events. So what is subharmonic event? It's when, you know, I mentioned before that your voice is like a wide spectrum of frequencies. Why is it the case? Well, it's called a harmonic series. When a sound vibrates and it's not a perfect sine wave, it's always going to have like multiples of itself. So if I do this pitch, for example, let me just get my pitch monitor here, it's going to be helpful. A G3 at conveniently 200 hertz. Then I'm gonna find my main pitch, and another line above it at 400 hertz, a bit quieter, and another one at 600, 3 times the main pitch, and then one at 800, one at 1000, one at 1000, one at 200, etc., 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 up to infinity in ultrasounds that we can't hear. And so each subsequent frequency is going to be quieter generally, but it depends very much on what sound you are producing. So when you have all these lines, they're like all multiples of that main frequency. However, you can achieve very strange patterns of vibration of the vocal folds. I mean, you've seen some beatboxers do crazy things with their voices. So there's other weird voices like this one. That has this strange crackle in between, and it's exactly what you're describing. It's frequencies in between frequencies. Now, instead of just having 200, 400, 600, we now have 200 and 1.5 times that, then the 400, then 2.5 times that, etc., etc. And we also get subharmonic. So this pitch here, it's also producing subharmonics below that, hence the name subharmonic event. It's a layer of frequencies in between frequencies. We don't exactly know what happens on a scientific level. We suppose that there's like extra notes that happen, like instead of just a normal one note that you get when the vocal folds vibrate, we get like multiple ones. It's what we tend to describe as diplophonic behavior. Diplo for strange, phonic for the sound. And so these diplophonic behaviors are something that just shows that there's like not a proper closure of the vocal folds. So what I would recommend is that you do like some vocal glottal taps, like to reset the vibration of the vocal folds. Or do like softies, because they create that pressure in the mouth that combats the pressure from the lungs. It kind of helps achieve a more normal phonation again, because it kind of will result to something that's more effortless. What a way to put it. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Perhaps I am totally wrong because I do not know what you sounded like. So the other option, maybe it's not a subharmonic event like but perhaps it's something just your voice is a bit buzzy. So instead of having like you might have like a really buzzy, heavy sound, right? Perhaps that's what you're experimenting. That doesn't cause any subharmonic events, but it does emphasize the really high ring at high frequencies of your voice. So in that case, just make your voice softer and you should be good to go. All right, so I have to make up fictional scenarios of what your voice does, because this is what those questions are about. I can't hear what your issue exactly is. So if you want to be more precise with this, just send me a message or just ask in the hashtag voice training on the Trans Academy Discord and ping me. Please ping me at Prof Savvy on there so I can take a look at it and help you further with this. All right, hope that answers the question. And I don't know how much time we got. Do we have any questions from people here in front? I see there are some people that got closer. Yes, Coco, what's your question about? Please get close to the stage so everyone can hear you. Thank you.
Yes. So,
yes.
I went to a Jessa class, I think, a few weeks ago, and we mentioned how to get the resonance higher, basically there's a bunch of muscles.
Yes.
No need to name
Absolutely.
or anything. There's a bunch of
I
muscles that are used for lifting the larynx. Now, is it possible to have basically muscle strains in those muscles which feel like the voice is hurting, but it's just because those muscles got tired at working too much?
Are you saying that your voice gets tired from like going for like a feminization effect? I'm trying to rephrase it a bit. Yeah.
For instance, but I would assume it would be the same thing for masculinization, where you use a different set of muscles, but basically it's just that thing where if you work any muscles, say the biceps a lot, eventually it starts hurting. Could that happen for those muscles that are used to move the larynx?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, if you, like, really are intensive about the practice, like, not an hour or two, maybe, like, the whole day, you know, like, you might eventually, like, have sometimes your muscles that get a bit tense. Like, for example, I know that when I do, like, long lesson days where I have, like, 4 or 5 lessons during a day, then I can find that, like, the muscles of my, like, neck, for example, like the back of my neck, on the sides of my neck, the like shoulder muscles, they get a bit tense. So I kind of like try to massage them a little bit, like gently. I just take my hands and I just kind of like gently like massage my neck. Oh, it feels so good. I should do this more often. So like, yeah, this can happen. Like, it's muscle, it's your body, of course. I would say, however, the vocal folds themselves, they should never feel like they hurt. If they feel like they hurt, you probably did something wrong with your voice. Like, if it feels scratchy or hurts inside your throat, that's not good. But on the sides of your neck, for example, just to raise the larynx, that's fine. I mean, if it does happen to that extent, I mean, like, for me, it's hardly noticeable. I just feel some extra tension. I don't ever feel pain, and I've been doing this for years. But, you know, if that does happen, please just rest. Give yourself some nice, gentle neck massages, gentle shoulder massages if it does go all the way down here, and you should be more than all right with that. All right, I hope that answers your question, Coco. You're super welcome. Yep. No worries. All right, so, well, then, no more questions? All right, well, then I guess I'll be wrapping up this session. All right, everyone, thank you so much for following this workshop up until the end. So, yeah, we're going to wrap it up. Everyone, please say goodbye to the Discord and to the Twitch stream, and bye to YouTube as well. Bye, everyone. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. Bye. All right. So now, if you enjoyed this, you know, I teach more of this on my own Discord server called Scientifically Augmented Voice. You can join that Discord server by just clicking on my name here in vrchat. There's a link that directly links to my Discord server. Why would you want to join it? Well, I have a little community of people who work on their voices, so if you want to do extra work and submit some clips for feedback over there, you can do so. Do not be shy. We don't bite, promise. But most importantly, I also do public lessons over there. So not like these voice classes, they're just on Discord. We're just chilling. It's just for voice chat. But you can ask questions and listen into these lessons just like in this one. If you don't want to move up on stage, or if you just want to like shadow a lesson, that's an option you can have. Other than that, I teach my own lessons on Discord, so private or public. So if you want to schedule a lesson with me, perhaps you can do so by just messaging me on Discord at savvy_sav, all in lowercase, just like here, but lowercase. And yeah, I can discuss scheduling, pricing over there. So let me do the end of this workshop blurble. Hey everyone, my name is Savvy. I teach voice feminization, voice masculinization. I teach voice acting, singing, and also a fun thing called human beatboxing with sounds such as... If you want to learn any of this, you can always shoot me a message on Discord and we can discuss this all together over there. All right, I hope you all enjoyed this workshop. It will happen again on the next Sunday. Please, y'all have a great rest of your day. Rest your voice if you have used it a lot. Drink plenty of water. Best of luck with your voice work. And I'll be catching you all in the next one. All right. Bye, everyone.